Welcome to Dance to Heal. I'm your host, Jenny C. Cohen. Join me as I share stories of how dance and movement can bring healing in a way that is safe and tailored to your life. I'm a cancer survivor, mother of two, and an award-winning performer who found that movement was vital to my recovery. I created Dance to Heal Wellness and also authored the best-selling book, Outside in Recovery, Dancing My Way Back to Myself After Breast Cancer. I will bring new techniques to help you on your dance journey and healing path. Are you ready to move? Dance to Heal starts now. Okay, so I am beyond excited that we have Karen here today. Welcome, Karen.
Thank you so much, Jenny. I am beyond excited as well. So we're both on the same page here.
I know. Okay, so audience members, the thing that I'm going to actually have Karen speak about is something that we both have trained in, and she's currently making it a huge focus of what she delivers, okay? And I really want you to just listen carefully because there's a reason why you are listening to this particular episode. Now, Karen is a peak performance and mental fitness mentor. It's not just for high achieving leaders and athletes and entrepreneurs, okay? Anyone and everyone can benefit from what Karen does. And I also provide my clients. Here's the thing, when you hear her speak in her voice, and if she resonates even a tiny bit, even an itty bitty bit, and you're a little curious, you want to go to the descriptor of this episode and click on her gift. All right, Karen, tell us what happens after someone's worked with you?
Oh, Jenny, that's a great question because when people come to me, they're usually in a lot of stress, high anxiety, overwhelm. I even had a client who actually couldn't be getting out of bed anymore. Her anxiety was so high. And they make a personal transformation because in 1 week for her, because she worked the program before you even started, there's a little gym you can do, a little mental fitness gym, right? And so it's the same thing as going to a gym. You go to the gym and you want to get in shape and build muscles, and then you do that for 1 week, and then after that it goes away. But we're building our mental muscle, right? We're building that mental muscle. And so often people are so unaware of how they are reacting in life. And if you pay attention, it's all fear-based. It's all based on fear because if we think about anything, we're either thinking about the past and regretting something, or it's like, oh my God, I did that, or we're freaking about over the future. But what I teach is how we can shift into the present moment. And it's so simple because if you just focus on your breath, that's something you take with you every single day. But how many people pay attention to themselves breathing? And so we make that it's proven by MRIs, it's based on neuroscience, which I found to be the most profound thing to begin with. And you can actually rewire your brain. You can rewire your brain, which we are learned when we were kids. It is all fear-based because we have that inner critic, and you all know you have an inner critic because it's that judge telling you you're not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I can't do this. Who am I to say that? To empowering yourself to be in that curiosity and falling in love with yourself and being in the innovative mindset and just creating a life. And so on MRIs, you can see how your brain shifts from that negative amygdala hijack to your prefrontal cortex and your empathy circuitry. And once you do that, once you create this new habit over a 6 week period, it only takes 6 weeks that you actually really shift your brain. Now, it's not like going to the gym and you see your muscles building, but it's you feel it. You respond different in life. And I know for myself, my husband acted in such a way, and I just like was amazed. This naturally, I responded as opposed to reacting with my saboteurs or reacting into that negative mindset of that fear base. And I actually smiled at myself because it was like, oh wow, that was pretty cool, you know.
Yes, yes. I like that you shared with us, right? That everyday things that happen in our lives, the only thing we actually have control over is our own reaction to it.
Exactly.
right? And the audience members who are watching and listening, be clear now. The brain is a giant muscle. And we actually have power over it. It's not the other way around that our brains are in control of us. Will you
Right.
speak on a little bit about that? Because people don't realize it's kind of like, oh, what do you mean? I can't control that. I mean, and that's what I hear a lot. I can't control that. Yes, you can.
So I love that because in my workshop, there's a section that we talk about stress, and this one person kept talking about, well, they. And but actually, it's our perception, it's our belief that we have in that reactive mode. And it's their beliefs and their perceptions that they're thinking. So we have no responsibility of assuming what somebody else is thinking. And what they do to us is our interpretation and how we think about it and how we interpret that. And so naturally we do that on, oh, I mean, even look at kids. Look at little kids because they learn that we learn this early. And he hurt me. He's looking at me. And so we learn to blame. But really, if we learn to think about really what I'm feeling, then we learn that it's really our own thoughts that are creating those emotions inside of us. And that's all we have responsibility for. And you even mentioned the word, we have the ability to choose. We can choose our thoughts, but we're not taught as a kid, oh, you have to choose your thought. Your kids don't analyze and think like that. But this is where these habits are created. And then when we are older, that comes into our judge and our saboteurs. So that's no fun.
It isn't fun. And here's the thing, though, audience. Karen and I, we offer access to an app that's like having us in your back pocket. First of all, it would be too much money really to have us on with you 24/7. However, the app is amazing because you're in direct contact with our mentor. You get to hear his soothing voice reminding you to tune into the present because being in the present, everybody has trouble. Even our mentor has trouble. It is a lifelong journey of
It
the
is.
present, right? And the
Exactly.
key is when Karen was talking about saboteurs and judges, they're just really ways we keep ourselves safe when we don't even realize.
Yep.
I hear my mom's voice, right? My one of my judges, one of my saboteurs is always my mother's voice because she was one of the few people that would set no more quotation marks. I get in trouble. No quotation marks. I'm volunteering with TEDx Salt Lake City, and they're like, "We don't like quotation marks." You're right. No more quotation marks. Anyways, focus, Jenny. When I'm doing negative self-talk, and I catch myself a lot more now that we do this work. I don't know if you
Right.
probably
Right.
do too,
Right.
right, Karen? It's I've noticed that I replicate my mother's voice. It's me doing negative talk to me, and I hear it in my mother's voice. And so what we want you to do, audience, and this is why I'm so ecstatic that Karen's here, is to bring to your attention. It's actually still you when you hear negative talk, like when you're hearing judgments or memories. It's still you playing out those scenes when they're gone already. They're not, it's past. It's past, right, Karen?
Right. 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 Oh, that's such a beautiful entry to this because what happens is that when you did that when you were kids, so I'm going to talk about mine if that's okay, because mine was the stickler, and the stickler is about perfection. And as a child, first off, a child's main motive in life is to be loved and feel secure and be happy. I always wanted to be happy. And so I escaped into my room and created this perfection in my bedroom. I mean, my dolls were perfect and the room was clean and the bed was perfect. And there was that sense of feeling. Now, as a child, we're not analyzing this, right? We're just creating this scenario. Well, now as an adult, oh my goodness sakes. So, how this shows up is I am mouthy and defiant and putting people down. And the scenario could be, you want a perfect kitchen. Can't you just put that dish in the dishwasher? Does it have to be in the sink? And it's just a negative reaction. It's a saboteur. It's not positive. There's a lot of negativity that comes out of that. And Jenny, when you were mentioning that you hear your mother, well, when I learned this, and our mentor, we had to go through this as coaches. So I have the ability to be certified and deliver this to my clients, is that I learned about this stickler and I was like, oh my gosh, that was me. He wrote this whole thing about me. But it's universal, really.
It is.
And so when I realized that, I became aware of my mouth
Ooh.
and I shut my mouth.
Oh.
Became aware of what was coming out of my mouth. I shut my mouth. And Jenny, the negative conversation, it was exploding in my head. And that's when I became aware of, oh my goodness, because no matter what the negative stuff that comes out of our mouth and we lash out at somebody else, it's really about us. It's truly about me. And when I realized that, and I realized how much that was really hurting my well-being and the stress it was putting on with me, man, it just went away. And there was almost like a feeling in my brain that I shifted to where now this that stickler is still my number one, but very quiet. And I kind of laugh at it now because yes, I like to have a clean house and yes, I like to have things orderly, but I don't have to do it in a negative way. I can do it what we call the sage way, the happy way, the inner wisdom way. And we can be happy doing that, not yelling at somebody because they didn't fold it right or put it here right because it has to be perfect.
It, here's the thing, audience, right? We like in my house, if we don't put the dishes away, we have problem with ants, you know? And
Yeah.
there's a way where it's much more constructive and not destructive,
Yep.
right? And then, of course, I have two college level adult kids who still forget. And then we have the ants.
Right.
And then I'm so glad that I've done this training myself because I would not want my children's judge and saboteurs' voices to be mine. That's why we want to
No.
stop that cycle, right?
Right.
Because
Right.
for me, I never was allowed to have a mouth. I was never, if I spoke back, it was you're just like your father, like you have a bad temper.
Right.
For me, it was always this inability to use my voice and learning to be able to use my voice in a way that wasn't yelling like my dad because he role modeled that for me. That was the only time I could be heard is if I yell, right? And that was this whole thing I made up in my head versus just calmly saying, this is going to lead to the ants that you hate to kill. So it's your option. Or you could always ask me and say, I can't get the dishes put away. Would you mind? Because I have to go to class and I'm taking care of all the pets. So it's this request because my entire family's on the app, Karen. Like we're all on the app. So we
Oh,
use it,
nice.
right?
Yeah.
We use this whole conversation. So audience members, when we work with it, we end up integrating our entire families into it because it gives us a different language. So there's this age-old saying, like, if someone comes at you angry, you answer with angry. Mhm. And we will say, "Hey, are you coming to me right now with this thing you want to talk about? Has a judge slash saboteur, or you in Sage?" And if they're not in Sage, we go, "Let's table this. Let's table this until we are not like killing each other over it." 'Cause
Right.
it's a simple thing, like who's gonna walk the dog or something like that, right?
Right.
And so what I think is amazing of this conversation that you and I are showing people who are watching and listening is that when you have a common, almost neutral language,
Hmm.
you can discuss difficult things without anyone's feelings being hurt per se, right, Karen?
Right. I love that because there's this, instead of what came to mind in part of your conversation was, you have this power play and what is called as like the dance of the saboteurs. And so your saboteur, my stickler, will show up, and then his avoider would show up, and that's what the dance of the saboteurs is that negative. And how does it end up? Either somebody shutting down, or you have a fight. You have these negative words flashing. But when you have the app, and what a beautiful thing that you have it for your whole family, is the fact that you have a common language of understanding. I'm in sabotage mode. And it's okay. Let me take a break here. Let's bring in the innovate power and create a conversation on yes and knowing that everybody talking has that 10% that everybody's right, as opposed to the saboteurs going, I'm right and you're wrong. We open up to the possibility of even having powerful conversations. So I have done this. I believe that couples, if anything, couples should do, and I've worked with couples on this program, and it's beautiful. It's really a powerful thing. And people's relationships improve immensely because it could be that there's so much anger going on. And if you shift that, you realize what a beautiful person I am. Oh, and what a beautiful person I married. So,
Right, right. And here's the thing, audience members. A lot of times, Karen and I have worked with clients. We're the only people doing the program, and that was still shifting because they were shifting themselves,
right.
and then people around them were then adjusting to the newer way they were handling the world. So we're not saying, oh my gosh, you're only going to work with us if your whole entire family and your relatives and your business partner and your pets enroll. We're talking about it always starts with you first. Okay, so just be clear. It started with me, and then I was like, you know what, family, I would like you to try it.
Yeah,
They all fell in love with it.
right.
Then I had a family member, I had a client who was like, oh, no, no, I'm good after 8 weeks. And wouldn't you know, a few months later, she has to be put back on the app
Yeah,
because she was like, oh, I need the app. It's not an addiction so much as a reminder
right.
for her to put her reps in. Well, you
But there's a different type of an addiction can be interpreted as bad, right? But you miss the calm and peace. And we slowly slip back into where we came from. The same thing going to the gym. If I went to the gym for 6 weeks, I'm like, okay, I'm good. I'm going to be good for life. But no, by 2 weeks, I'm going to lose what I built up. And you feel that. So I felt it physically, but then we feel it mentally. And what a beautiful story you how your client came back and then I appreciate you pointing that out. No, you don't have to couples do it, but I did have, he invited his wife to come do it. He thought it was a great thing. So he invited his wife. But I do teach a lot of people though, when we change, okay, so stress feeds stress, but if you have stress and you have sage and love, that love will slowly seep over into that stress, and they're because your conversations are different and the responses are different, and they're going to naturally feel that because the saboteurs are going to shrink. Oh, I can't play this game. There's no dance here. So it's no matter what, always about me. It's always about the I.
Absolutely, absolutely. You ever see the videos they have about the man with all the what is it, the tuning forks, and then they talk about how, you know, only the same frequencies will, if you vibrate one frequency and someone's vibrating in another frequency, then the second thing doesn't move the ball that's supposed to bounce off of the frequency waves, right? And the and if you are strong enough though to keep your own what we call sage or being centered or being focused and being present, you can actually affect the energy levels of the people around you. And that's
Exactly.
what we're saying. And that's still a muscle. It's still a muscle that needs maintenance, it needs support, right? Because for me, I mean, I did the DNA thing where you scrape your cheek and you send it in, and they're like, "Well, here's your genetic tendency." We're not saying that it's totally true. However, this is something that if we were to test you again 10 years from now would not change. I'm externally motivated. Some people are internally motivated, right? Either way, it doesn't matter if you're external or internally motivated. It's still a muscle that is on an muscle building activity that is on an app that will you can set up reminders where it'll just be like, hey, you know, you wanna do your PQ rep? You haven't checked in a couple of days. It's like, oh
Well, how about if
yeah,
we just do a recharge here?
yeah, do a little recharge, you know? And then you get addicted to, and so I want to speak about the addiction thing, Karen, because I just did a really cool 2-day event with Gabor Mate, and he was talking about addiction on the Embody Lab platform, and he was talking about how, like, a lot of people think addiction is a choice, and it's actually he defined it as an addiction is our attempt to nullify a pain. That's what
Hmm.
leads to addiction. Okay,
Interesting.
yeah. And addiction itself, like, people who are addicted to like drugs or drinking or some other like shopping, shopping. All right.
Gambling.
Right, right. The addiction is not a choice. It is a habit formed from trying to relieve something that's painful or
Sure.
lacking in our lives, right?
Hmm.
And to see it as that then allows you to understand why you may backslide into an old behavior while you're going through the process of strengthening your sage. Does that
Right.
make sense, audience? Because like Karen, like I was just really upfront. Like sometimes I'm not on the app every day and I should be and I forget and then I go back on and all of a sudden it's like my body goes, oh my God, thank God she rejuvenated. It goes, like the PQ muscle, versus Karen's on all the time. All right, you guys should do full disclosure because you're a positive emotion coach. Like this is your main focus. Like
Right.
when I think of PQ coach, I think of you. I
Yeah.
I offer it to my clients as part of my coaching program.
Right.
So audience, we're talking about the gamut of people that benefit from the PQ app. And so,
Mhm.
for you to take advantage of Karen's gift, you're going to go to the description in this episode and click on that link to have access to her gift. Will you tell people about your gift, Karen?
So it really mirrors what we were talking about, but it's going to give you a little more examples on it. And I do talk about who I am, so you guys have a better idea who I am. Um, Crazy athlete, but um, it'll go into some of the saboteurs. It does talk about the inner critic, and then it has examples, and then you have a little place where you can kind of write about. So bringing awareness about what reactions do you have in life, and what do you think that's about? Are you avoiding something? Are you being restless? Are you being over perfectionist or whatever? And then it goes into talking about the sage and the five sage powers, and then what does that look like, and then just little prompt questions and a place to journal it for yourself. And then you're also welcome. I believe my email's on there to email me if you ever want to go deeper into this and talk a little bit about yourself. I do this, who is that? And so I for the month of with that, I if people want to email me and are they going to hear this before the end of April? April is Stress Awareness Month, so I was offering a saboteur debrief with them. So if this comes out before the end of April, or anybody hears this, so yeah, just contact me.
Well, this won't be coming out at the end of April, folks. Sorry. This
All
will
right.
be more
Well, hey,
episodes. However, they can ask those of you watching, you still would like Karen to go through it with you. Feel free to
yeah,
ask her. I think if they just said, "Oh, I heard you talking about it on the Dance to Heal podcast,"
yeah.
you'll gladly honor that. I think the biggest thing, folks, is I had told you at the beginning of the interview, if when you heard or saw Karen and there's something about her that resonates with you, and if you're still going, oh, I don't know, you have two options. You can go to the comment section of the YouTube video and pop a question to her, when she and I will come back and answer it. And you can always go to my danceandheal.com class, move to my class that I gift you, and also the stretching, and then push the button for Karen. Notice I'm not saying don't, right? You're going to do both, right? So
Right.
that you can take advantage of it. There's a reason why you're actually listening to this episode. I'm not kidding you. It means that you are ready to empower yourself. That's really where I'm going now, folks. Like if you want to, keep following my podcast, I will keep having amazing guests like Karen because we want you to feel that you can shift your own life.
That's beautiful, Jenny.
Right, Karen?
That's
So
exactly right. I love the passion in your voice.
thank you.
I love the passion in your voice, and I think we share that same passion. And it's like, come on,
I know.
let's
Join
do it.
us. Join us on the other side with this light. And you have power.
I'm in the light.
All right. So before I let you go, will you please, share 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 a funny story about yourself so they can laugh and be like, oh my God, I got to get a call with
A funny story about myself.
her. Mm-hmm.
Um, and I want to say that I don't know if it's funny, but it was fun for me. When I was a kid, our backyard was these rolling hills. And I'm like 6 years old, 7 years old. And it was the fact I could climb over these fences. And every time I did, it was barbed wire fence. And I have scars on my knees of being cut by the barbed wire fence. But I wanted to go see the sheep. There was sheep and horses and cows. There was a shepherd out there. I'd go play with the shepherd dog. I'd go out in the hills with them. I come home, I get in trouble. I go do it again.
Yeah, I love that story. So that means that next time if I ever meet you in person, I'm gonna have to bring like a little sheep stuffed animal for you. Is that it, Karen? That's the intent,
That'd be hilarious.
right?
Let's make it happen.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. All right, all right. So, audience members, remember you can get Karen's gift in the description of this episode, whether or not you're listening or you're watching on YouTube. And then feel free to come to the YouTube channel and ask some questions of Karen. And also make it, remember, take advantage of her gift, okay? Karen, thank you so much for coming.
Oh, Jenny, thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun.
Thank you. Bye bye, everyone.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Thanks for listening to Dance to Heal with Jenny C. Cohen. Come back next time to hear stories of recovery through movement and learn more ways that you can move your body. To work with me and continue your journey, visit OutsideInRecovery.com. Are you ready to move?